A narcissist will always portray themselves to be something that they're not. Narcissists usually have the shadiest of backgrounds, the most unbelievable skeletons in their closets. They make a life of compulsive lying, twisting the truth, smear campaigns, talking behind other people's backs, making fun of people for things they themselves have done to deflect attention from themselves. It's really quite a nasty situation. And they know this. Deep down, they know just how unpleasant their past has been. Unpleasant to a degree that just isn't fathomable by people in general. This means that they are intent. It's one of their main priorities to always portray themselves as something they're not, because they know that if anyone even saw the half of what they actually are, they could not get what they want. For the rest of us, we understand that we need to be able to earn reputation. We earn loyalty. We earn our friendships. We earn the benefits that we get in life. A narcissist does not want to earn. A narcissist wants to get things that they don't deserve for free. They want to obtain things that no one would ever give them if they really knew who the narcissist was. There's a kind of duping delight that narcissists get from pulling off this scheme. It helps them feel like they're winning. In the big competition of life, which is the way they see things, almost like a overcompensation for the amount of low self-esteem that they really have. They're running around almost trying to prove to themselves, in a sense, whether or not this is actually what happens, but this is the mechanism. Almost trying to prove to themselves that they are smarter than everyone, that they are better, that they can pull the wool over people's eyes. It makes them feel powerful, it makes them feel in control over us normal, boring folk who aren't smart enough to figure out how to play the system. But if you're one of the normal, boring folk, you know that it's not that we couldn't play the system or don't know how to play the system, it's that we just don't fall or let ourselves go to those depths. It's about self-respect. We don't want to do things like that. We also know that that's a shortcut. It doesn't help us to shortcut. And you will find that with narcissists, because they refuse to earn things through merit, they actually won't gain a lot of the skills. They won't actually have the skills. For example, they will want to be seen as smart, so they might learn the keywords, key phrases to drop about things of interest. But if you probe them more carefully and ask them to explain how things work and the history, and they actually won't know. And then they'll use different kinds of deflection methods like, you wouldn't understand, or it's like too deep. It's not that. They actually have no clue, because they were never actually interested in acquiring the skill, acquiring the knowledge and the benefit and the character that you build from being disciplined and applying yourself. They're not interested in any of that. They're interested in the reputation of being something that they're not. They want to get it without putting in the hard work. They only want the benefit. They only want the outcome. So in a sense, their very nature is that of breaking natural laws of cause and effect. They want all the good things. They want all the output, but they don't want to put the correct input into the system. They want other people to put input in. They want other people to put hard work in. And then they want to leech off it, just taking the small bits and pieces that'll make them seem interesting and serve their agenda. And then they wear that like a costume, so that people who aren't paying a lot of attention, when they see them, they see all of these details, it looks right, so the person must be what they're portraying themselves to be, but they're not. They're absolutely not. So that is one of the ways to actually identify a narcissist. If you suspect, I'm not talking about the grandiose ones, which are often quite obvious. Their tales of their exploits are so ridiculous that usually you can tell that there's something wrong here. I'm talking about the subtler, more sophisticated narcissists who are kind of a bit more experienced in how to give the impression of being what they say they are, and how to do that in a very careful way that doesn't set off any alarm bells. So if you do suspect this, try probing. So because they always want to seem interesting, they'll often come into interactions with all kinds of news, whether it be news of other people or news of the latest thing that happened, like on the global stage, whatever makes them seem interesting, so that your impression of them is always, this is the person where things are happening, they've got it going on. So if they bring up something, try and get more information and observe how they behave. And if you do this on more than one occasion, see if there are similarities in their behavior. See if it's almost scripted. They've got all of this stuff they want to say, but when you probe, there's no depth behind it. And if you try this on a few different topics, at a few different times, and see the same sort of deflection, sometimes it'll be a scoff, like, I don't have time to tell you all about it because I'm so busy. So that's because they don't know anything else about it. It could be a scoff. They're very fond of scoffing. It could be that they just take off, like, they suddenly remember that they had this appointment. That's actually a technique they'll often use. If you're treating them in the way they want to be treated, you're giving them narcissistic supply, literally they will clear their schedule for 24 hours. But the moment you challenge them, they'll suddenly remember that they had something to do and they'll leave your presence. There's a couple of different ways, but and each narcissist will have their own coping strategies that they've developed to get themselves out of these sticky situations where people are more inquisitive and aren't willing just to take them at face value, at their word, because you should never take a narcissist at their word. Their word means nothing to them. They don't have any honor. So if you do suspect, you must test everything. And if you're going to do this, just remember that they will try and put you down subtly and make you feel devalued for questioning them. That is also a tactic. to subtly sort of strike out at you so that your emotions make you censor yourself and not question them. Anyway, my point is, a narcissist will never want to be seen for who they are. It's very likely that they themselves are not insightful enough to know who they are, and it's very possible that even those closest to them are not fully privy to the true nature of a narcissist. A lot's been said about the masks they wear and their false self, and that really there may be nothing behind that, or what's behind that is so atrophied that it's effectively not something that can be known, let's say. But regardless, the narcissist does not want you to know the truth of their history. Identity aside, but their history. And it's important that you recognize people who are overly eager for you not to know their history, because the way we treat each other in society is based on context. There's all kinds of sayings that we go by that have some relevancy here. Like the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. Now, a narcissist will never want you to know their past behavior because it is a very good predictor of their future behavior. Not necessarily in the nature of what they will do, but in the chaotic, dangerous outcomes that they are capable of allowing to happen. Because there's no safety and security around a narcissist. They cannot keep themselves safe. Their world is full of chaos, but they will try and portray to you that it's not. And you'll make decisions, important decisions about your life, believing that they are a normal person, believing that, like a normal person, they would understand what going too far is and when to stop and when to pull back. But they don't, and they won't. But they'll make you think they will. They'll make you think that you're safe when you're more dangerous than you could ever imagine. And I'm not exaggerating in the slightest. But as I've said in past videos, they don't care about other people. They don't care that the fact that they're hiding their true selves can really seriously harm other people. Because they're not focused on other people, they're focused on themselves. They're focused on managing other people's perceptions of them. They're focused on what they can get from other people. And they know they can get more if other people don't know who they are, don't know their past, and don't have the correct context on the behaviors that they're exhibiting. A narcissist is always focused on themselves. And if it ever appears that they're focused on you or on the people around them, it's because in some fashion, doing that has a beneficial outcome for them that you may just not be able to perceive because you don't see the game that they're playing. It's always a play. There's always a play. You just have to figure out in any specific moment what the play is. Is the play in this moment to be a victim and portray that as who they are? Is the play in this moment to pretend that they forgot that they said that, so that they don't have to be accountable for hurting your emotions or for being unreliable? Is the play that they're trying to pull a new supply in, and so they're trying to look super cool and super reliable? Whatever it is, it's not real. Because a narcissist is not going to let you see the truth. And they will always try and convey and portray that they are something that they're not. Always. Because as I said in the beginning, if you knew even the half of what they really were, they couldn't even get a fraction of what they want from you and all the people around them from which they garner supply. I hope you enjoyed today's message. If you learnt something, let me know down in the comments. Please like, share and subscribe. Until next time.